In today's lesson, we are going to look at this grouped frequency table, this idea of grouped frequency table. Now, this is not the first time we look at it, but today I want to go through with it a little bit slowly so you get more time and then more chance to look at the details. Okay? Right, so let's have a look at what we've got. Okay, so a grouped frequency table is pretty much something like this. Okay, so you'll be able to see it is very much similar to the frequency table. Now you'll be able to find on the left hand side that is our data category. Okay, so usually it will mean a range. Okay. The on the other hand, we will have the frequency. Sometimes it's represented as say frequency. Other time it can be say the number of people or number of times. So it means the same thing. So if we just look at the first line here, all right. So it basically means the recovery time M is between 0 and 4, and there are two people who fall into that category. Now, likewise, if we look at the second one, it just means it takes about 4 to 8 minutes to recover, and there are 7 people in this category. So this is the idea of grouped frequency table. Okay, I know it's a bit um, familiar to you, but I still want to go through, so make sure you understand the concept behind that. So in today we'll talk about how do we generate a group frequency table from the raw data, and then we'll also talk about how to analyze it by finding the mean and mode. Okay, so let's look at the data here. Gotta drag it. Hang on a second. Be patient with this technology stuff. I'm not sure what's going wrong, but okay. So screen pointer pen. Here we go. So let's say we have a sample group of data. Okay. So it says during math test we have 10 students and they got the following marks from, let's just say 0 to 100%. So we got the following percentage. Okay, so we would like to work out a frequency. So what we are going to do is we're going to check the first one. Okay, it says 71. So we can cross this one out and then we put that in the first category. So we just mark the tally. So that's 1 here. Okay, 72. That is between 70 to 80. We cross that one and we mark another tally here. Now 82 is between 80 and 90, so we mark the tally here. 75, that is between 70 and 80, tally here. Now 50, 56 is between 50 to 60, so we mark our tally here. Now 89, we cross that, and then we can say, alright, that's between 80 and 90, so mark a tally here. Now 90, again, between 90, 80 and 90. So it's a bit important to define. Maybe it's easier to say that's include 90, that's exclude. So it's a little bit easier to do. Okay, so the next one, 63. So we just need to say that's between 60 to 70. And 74, so that's between 70 to 80. And 76, the last one, lucky last, is here. So between 70 and 80. So we just need to count how many of them and write the frequency. Or you can just rewrite this as how many people. So we get 1 here, that's 5 here, and 3 here, and we will get a 0 at the bottom. So it will also make sense because it says 10 students got the following marks. So if we add up all the frequencies, if we add up 1 at 1, that's 2, then plus 5, that's 7, plus 3, the total of the frequency will be equal to precisely 10 because there are 10 students who got the following scores. Okay. Now, let's look at the next example. So this one is basically how do we get from data to a grouped frequency table. You can also work backwards, although you might not be able to find a precise number, but you know which range does it fall into. Okay. Now, the next part we'll talk about two things: the mode, or sometimes called the modal group or modal class, or um, they mean the same thing. It's just in different tables. Now, in frequency table, in data set, we can say mode, but in a grouped frequency table, we need to call it a modal group or modal class. It's basically because we can no longer find one number, we find a range of numbers. We'll see how it goes. So the way we find mode is to understand mode means the most common or most frequent items. So we need to check for the highest value for frequency. So we need to look into the frequency and see which one is the highest. All right, and then we try to find its corresponding data category. Okay. Now, if we look at this particular data here, okay, erase wipe out this. Okay, so if we look at these options here, okay, so we need to start with checking the frequency, so which is here. So remember, the number of people, the number of times, or the number of people is pretty much the same thing as frequency. Now we need to check in this frequency which value is the highest. Now it's pretty easy to find among all. We'll find 29 is the highest value. Okay. Now once we find that, and then you just say, okay, so 29 is corresponding to this category. So between 8 and 12. So that means the recovery time between 8 and 12, or you can just write this whole thing down. So 8 smaller than m, smaller than or equal to 12 is our modal class. So this will be our modal class. So remember, when we're trying to find, for example, mean, median, mode, it will most likely to be a value among these, not that. So if you get, for example, like 29, okay, then what it's telling me is, yes, you find the frequency, but you didn't find its corresponding data, okay? So always choose here, not here, okay? So we start by finding 29 is the highest, but when we answer that, the modal class is um, this category, okay? All right, last bit, we talk about the median. Sorry, the mean. The mean is a bit tricky. We actually talked about it the other day, but I like to go through in a bit more structured way. So the following four steps. So just remember MMAD MAD. Okay. So just say four steps. The first step is you need to find the midpoint. The second step is you use that to multiply by the frequency, and then you add the total of that. And the last step is you divide the total frequency. Okay, just remember four steps: midpoint, multiply frequency, add total, and divide the total frequency. So we'll see how it works. Okay, so if say we have this table here. Now the first step is we need to find a midpoint for each. So the first group we will have 2, because from 0 to 4, the midpoint halfway through will be 2. Now from 4 to 8, halfway through will be 6. From 8 to 12, halfway through will be 10. From 12 to 16, halfway through will be 14. And then from 16 to 20, halfway through will be 18. And last of all, 20 to 24, halfway through will be 22. Okay, so the first step is we just find a midpoint of this category, okay, of this data category. So if we have a range, we don't want a range because range is not, well, some number we can use. We use the letter M, or sometimes T, or other thing is standing in the right middle of that. So we say, all right, so that is going to be this 2. So we take the average of that, and then we just use the midpoint. Okay. Now the second step, remember, is to multiply it by the frequency. this is my frequency right here. So we need to use this number here to multiply by the frequency. So first 2 by 2 we got 4, and then 6 by 7 we got 42, and 10 by 29 we got 290. If you're not sure, you can use a calculator. If we do 14 by 26, then we got that's 364. Okay, so if you're not sure, you can use a calculator. Okay, so the next one, 18 times 16. Okay, we got 288. And last of all, 22 times 10 will be 22, and then times 10 will be added 0. Okay, so in this step, what we're doing is we use the midpoint, each midpoint, to multiply its corresponding frequency. Okay, now step 3, we need to add up the total. Okay, so we add up the total, we just add everything up. Now if you are if you are not comfortable with calculating so many figures, just pull out a calculator. So we do 4 plus 42 plus 290 plus 364 plus 288 plus 320. And the answer will be, here it says 1208. So that is what we get for the total here. Okay. Now, the last bit is we need to use this figure 1208 to divide by the total frequency. Okay, tricky question. What is my total frequency then? Okay, do the calculation again. So we have 2 plus 7 plus 29 plus 26 plus 16 plus 10. Just adding everything up in this left hand side. Okay, so here we got 90. So what it tells me is we got two numbers, 1208, and we got 90. So to find a mean, okay, we just need to use the bigger one usually. So 1208 to divide by 90, so which is the frequency. So the total divide by total frequency, we get a mean. So if we do that, 1208 divide by 90, we'll get this one, 13.422. So we just write 13.42, and just maybe stop it here because you only need usually 2 decimal places unless the question asks you to do more. Okay, so this is going to be the mean for the question. Okay, I know I'm sort of giving you the answers for all that. Okay, so I'm going to post a recording